Good morning, wrestling fans. Welcome to PWR Today, September 8th, 2022. The man they call Meathead, Matthew Thomas, who, was very close. Very, very close. We're talking inches and verbiage close to losing damn near 300 to 400 points in the fantasy drafts this last Sunday. Matthew, how you doing this morning?
Oh, my goodness. Great. I mean, you talk about a pickup for to get a little benefit and then to kind of go in your separate ways. That's what happened this past week with my two pickups of Kenny Omega and CM Punk prior to last weekend's pay-per-view. My goodness, how that is just going to really stand the test of time right there.
We're going to get into it when we go down the Dynamite results. But first off, something that's really looking dynamite on us in the fall season, getting us ready for, maybe the cooler months is collar and elbow.
Absolutely. By cooler months, you mean when the weather's actually cooler, not when you're, reaching into the cooler necessarily to grab yourself a cold
we're
beverage.
ending that cooler section of the cooler months. Yeah, I've got the latest in cooler technology, but no, not those cooler months, the temperature-wise.
But whatever season it is, whether it be winter, summer, fall, or spring, or swinter, which is actually the little-known season between winter and spring, you can always be decked and comfortable in collar and elbow brand apparel, available exclusively at collarandelbowbrand.com. Enter promo code LindaK, LINDAKAY, to save you on your purchase, and you can use that money to, get whatever accessories you need to decorate for Swinter.
Swinter. I feel like that's a Denver thing.
Hey, it's a thing for everybody. It's something that I'm really trying to get people involved in and to acknowledge the fact that, people just go through their lives and do things because it's the way they've done them and the way they've always done them and the way their parents did them and their grandparents did them. And one example of that is the four seasons. Who says you can't have 5 seasons, Meathead? The only reason you have 4 seasons is because of complacency, and you don't open your mind to 5 seasons.
I love the 4 seasons of band, not the 4 seasons, the actual seasons. Let's move on to some news here. We're going to start with WWE news, and we'll make our way to AEW news. The Royal Rumble for 2023, the location has been announced. It'll be Saturday, January 28th. That's right, you heard it. Saturday, January 28th, from the Alamo Dome in San Antonio, Texas. Matthew, are you going to be getting tickets?
I don't know. Texas is not a far flight from Denver.
Having done it already.
Yeah, and I've always wanted to visit the basement in the Alamo. So we could potentially...
Is that where they hit Ozzy after he peed on it?
Yeah, very possible. Very possible. But this brings us back to, what was it? Was it Rumble of 97, I guess, when it was in San Antonio, the year that Michaels won it, the hometown boy?
Quite possible. That sounds legitimate.
Or not 98. It wasn't the year he beat Brett, but it was... Or no, maybe it was 96. Am I getting confused with 96? I may be. Regardless, when they had the Rumble in San Antonio, apparently you could get free tickets to the Rumble at Taco Bell. I wonder if that's going to be the case this time around.
With the quesadilla, you never know. Well, the Rumble in San Antonio in January, courtesy of the WWE. All right, we've got more WWE, AEW news, and now it's all AEW news. Malachi Black has been given what seems to be a very highly conditional AEW release. Is the House of Black done?
Potentially it still exists, but maybe under a different name or moniker.
Well, I mean, that would leave Brody King, and that would leave Buddy Matthews.
Yeah, you could
and Julia
run something with King. Yeah, King. House of King or King's House or something like that.
Whose house?
King's House.
Gotcha. I'm not sure what the deal is with letting Aleister Black go. Maybe he just doesn't feel that things weren't going his way. He lost in the match against Sting, Darby, and the Redeemer, Miro. I guess we didn't really see anything out of Aleister Black.
There was the big buzz when he premiered, and it felt very, very... I was scared every time I saw him. I thought they did a great job at first, and Uh, I mean, honestly, it seems like since, this stable was being built, which this stable seemed very impactful at first, but it seemed like a lot of attention, shifted away from him. And it's, you're right. I mean, as big of a splash as he made instantly, you're kind of looking at where, it went.
Speaking of where it went, where this story has gone since Sunday night with CM Punk, with the media, the scrum, the EVPs that couldn't manage a target, to the fights, to the dogs, to the black eyes, to the chairs, to the biting, to what happened last night on Dynamite. Matthew, this story has taken so many twists and turns. I cannot believe where we're at now. There's a talk that CM Punk may have injured himself. Doesn't matter. Stripped of the title. Kenny Omega, the Young Bucks, the first ever trios champions, they held it 2 days, stripped of the titles. Matthew Thomas, there's obviously on dirtysheets.com, there's all sorts of hypothesis of what actually happened. I don't know. I wasn't in there. And unless these 6 gentlemen or these 4 gentlemen or whoever was involved come out and talk about it, we're never going to know the exact truth. But Matthew, your thoughts on now where we're at with Punk stripped of the AEW title, Omega and the Bucks, the Elite stripped of the trios titles. Honestly, his Ace Steel, CM Punk's friend Ace Steel, allegedly biting one of the Bucks. What the hell?
It's disappointing. It really is, because I think back to that Friday before SummerSlam last year. Punk premiering on Rampage was just one of the best professional wrestling moments that I'd ever seen. And there was a different feeling that, my goodness, this is just unprecedented. This guy's back in this new upstart company. And here we are, 13 months later. And in this, I think something that's getting lost in this too is this was Punk winning the title in Chicago after his return, after his comeback. Where I find myself is just saddened by all of this, because I look at the possibilities and I look at, the story that could have been told and the route this could have taken. And I feel bad for so many wrestling fans, because you'll never take, unless you're not going to do a survey or go door to door and do a census, but
and a straw poll.
There's no telling how, or a straw poll, but there's no telling how many people right now in these last few days have had a wrestler that they were very, very fond of and very, very big fans of, had that perception completely change. And that's where I'm at. I am sad for the way this has gone, and sad and disappointed for the people that feel very, very let down by the conduct in this matter.
The story continues to unfold. There is talk that it's also Christopher Daniels that was involved as well. Pat Buck, one of the producers backstage. Remember Pat Buck? He was the one that Nia Jax was trying to punk out with the really bright red hair that showed up in AEW as a producer. He is suspended as well. There is more to come to this. And again, it's not a common thing to see Tony Khan show up on TV. Tony Khan literally had to get on TV last night and announce what was happening and how the title is the most important. I felt, and I've said this on the air already, I felt that it seemed like, pun intended, that CM Punk kind of tried to punk out Tony Khan. Well, Tony Khan pulled it out, put it on the table, and said, don't forget who's the boss around here. You're stripped, you're suspended, and we'll discuss if you're going to continue to work at this company. One more WWE note that I forgot to mention. I said we were going to start with WWE and work to AEW. I forgot to mention big news. I don't want to bury the lead here. Pat McAfee will be off of SmackDown for the foreseeable future. Now, This is not a disciplinary thing. This is actually good news. This is not a, disagreement or a contract ending with the company. Per Triple H, he said that Pat had approached the Triple H and everyone at WWE, but an amazing opportunity with College Game Day. So College Game Day will be using Pat McAfee throughout the entire season. He said, you know what, we're not going to stand in his way. Go ahead and do that. When that's done, come on back. You're still part of the family. That's some good news to kind of get us going into Dynamite.
Yeah, no, I think it makes a ton of sense. And, McAfee, I think his brand is really, really high. And it doesn't matter if you listen to a show, watching him on Smackdown, watching him talk football, he's infectious. And I think ESPN knows that and, tried to make this arrangement.
WWE and ESPN had a very good working relationship. Remember the talents that have gone back and forth there. Todd Grisham, Jonathan Coachman, others back and forth, where they've worked either at the ESPN or they've worked in Stanford. They're in the same city. So it's not like they don't know each other. All right. Let's get into AEW. And Matthew, like I said, it started off with Tony Khan's announcement. He literally said, Matthew, I told you at the beginning of the program, and folks that are listening, Matthew Thomas damn near lost 2 title wins due to this. He literally said, after the pay-per-view, I have stripped them of their titles after the pay-per-view. Matthew Thomas, no fewer words have ever been more important to you and your fantasy draft aspirations than those words right there.
That's right. Tony Khan knows what's up, and he knew he had to clarify that because those team members of Team Nelson Mandela, both Kenny Omega and both CM Punk, they did win titles. And that those 2 great pickups that I made this past weekend. So once the window opens up, there may be some more movement on my part because I don't necessarily know when we're going to be seeing either one of those. But hey, that's what you got to do in strategy sometimes, Meathead.
You are so lucky. I mean, you didn't know that when you were hearing him talk, did you? You didn't think of that.
No, I didn't. I did not cue in on those few words, but I'm glad you were paying attention.
Well, I mean, the accounting firm at Dewey, Cheatham and Howe was paying attention as well, as when they sent me the memo that the points get to remain the same. You're still in the race. You're still there. All right. So Tony has stripped CM Punk. He has stripped the Young Bucks and Kenny Omega, the Elite, of their titles. Last night on Dynamite, we were going to get new Trios champions and the kickoff of the Grand Slam AEW Championship Tournament, which will culminate at AEW Grand Slam Arthur Ashe Stadium. You know what? They kind of fell ass backwards into something that'll make that show even more important. I absolutely love it. To open up the show last night, we had MJF. And you know what? It lasted longer than I thought it would. MJF being the quintessential face and telling people that he loves them and he loves it here. And it went on pretty long.
Yeah, it did. And, we had seen that. We'd seen that in his hometown. And so I'm seeing this happen. I'm like, yeah, I mean, is he kind of getting closer to his hometown? So he's
Buffalo and Long Island are on opposite ends of the state.
But still same state, but no. So I'm glad we got, MJF proper by the end of this. And I think it segued very, very nicely into what we would hear from Moxley.
Well, Moxley came in and Moxley says MJF is full of crap. And then obviously MJF says, we can start. I've got the bargaining chip for the bidding war of 2024. Maybe I take that title to a real wrestling company, real wrestlers like Cody Rhodes, my personal hero, The Game, and the one that runs WWE, the only real con in wrestling that's worth a damn, jolly old Saint Nick Khan. All of that just absolutely tickled me because it was funny.
Oh yeah, no, and that was that was fun. I mean, MJF is he's the star there, and I mean he is that is the prodigy. I think that is the person for AEW to hang their brand on. I really do.
So Moxley says that he's kind of pissed off, leave him alone right now. He's more pissed off about the fact that he has no life. He was passionately talking about what the title means to him and that he's supposed to be on vacation right now. But since there's a shot to win the tournament and get the title back, it's time to be a legend. What are your thoughts? Because he might have been taking time off. Maybe that was time that he was going to take off for 2 weeks.
Yeah. No, I mean, there's been reporting in the last several days that, Moxley was not slated to be on this show. And
apparently neither was Jericho.
Yeah, they needed some stars. And last night really had the feel of, I don't want to call it any
Swiss cheese. It felt like Swiss cheese.
But it also, when you listen to Moxley, when you listen to Jericho, when you even listen to Wardlow a little bit later in the program, there seemed to be people vying for that title of locker room leader. And there was a lot of passion around AEW as a brand. We don't talk much about signs in the crowd, but there was a 3-part sign last night that said AEW is greater than Punk. And I think that was the message that Tony Khan and that roster was really trying to drive home last night.
All right. We're going to crown new trios champions. The Death Triangle taking on the Best Friends. It's Orange Cassidy, Chuck Taylor, and Trent taking on Penta Osero Miedo, Rey Fenix, and the Bastard Pack. Matthew, this match could have gone either way. I thought that it would have made more sense to go with the Best Friends with Orange Cassidy pinning Pack. However, your winners and new trios champions, Death Triangle.
In kayfabe, in wrestling logic, Death Triangle winning makes more sense. But, this is our first wrestling match after everything that happened over the weekend. And I'm thinking to myself, you know what? This could really give a lot of people a lot of warm and fuzzy feelings if we put this title on the Best Friends. We go from all of that conflict that we had last weekend to Best Friends winning. And I really thought that was the direction things were going to go. It wasn't. Again, I think in storyline, it makes sense for Death Triangle, to win this, and looking at the potential matches that we can see with Death Triangle taking on, all comers. I think it's going to be very, very fun. But I'm right there with you. But I think this was the right choice to open up the show.
Tony Storm and Penelope Ford with Kip Sabian. This is the first time they've referred back to Penelope Ford and Kip Sabian being together. I think they're married, aren't they?
Yeah, I believe so. And didn't that get interrupted by Miro last time? Did he kind of ruin the wedding?
Yeah, and that's around the same time he had his video game cabinet broke.
Yes. Oh my goodness, that seems like a very, very long time ago.
I love the video package that they did with 2.0 and then Action Bronson and Hook. I'm telling you, that Action Bronson, that's a real life dude right there. Just all you got to do is look at it. Those are guys I grew up with right there.
So Meathead, I did not. The only thing I saw in the pre-show was the Kingston match. So I was going just from your analysis and your description of Action Bronson, but you described him to a T. I think your analogy of the guy who's 7 Coronas and at a barbecue, that's what I pictured. And man, that's I like that guy.
So you got the Action Bronson, and you're like, yep, that's the guy Meathead was talking about right there. But you know what? I love that guy.
Without a doubt.
And then, his promo was hot. Dude, his promo, he goes, look, you don't know me. We're going to be in New York. Come find me. Wow, dude. If honestly, 2.0 being the shiny sports entertainers, and then Action Bronson being a dude from the hood, Action Bronson should beat the piss out of those guys.
That's going to be fun.
I'm excited to see that. Really, I'm literally book it. Sign them right now. Jericho talking to the AEW Galaxy, not even the universe, it's the Galaxy. Jericho dropping a couple of extra old school Y2J ones.
Yeah, it was.
He dropped, what was the one that he dropped ever? Or like he repeated himself again, and then he said, God, what was the other one he did? He did 2 of them last night.
I know, I'm trying to remember. But yeah, it was there.
Go back and watch the promo. Chris Jericho was on fire last night.
Without a doubt. And this was, again.
And he called out for the locker room, as you were about to say.
Yeah. It was them rallying the troops. And I mean, you look at him and you look at Moxley, who have both been two workhorses in that company. Jericho since day one, Moxley pretty soon thereafter. So yeah,
Moxley showed up in the Jericho Hangman title match. Remember?
Yeah, he did.
Yeah, that was at Revolution.
Yeah.
Wardlow and Tony Nese for the TNT Championship match. This was not a match, and again, AEW, you got to tighten it up, man. Because Wardlow pissing and moaning, where's his music? We shouldn't see that stuff.
I know, man. That's freaking wild.
That's just terrible. It looks hacky, is what it looks.
Yeah.
All right, Bryan Danielson and Hangman Adam Page for the AEW World Title card or Wild Card Tournament match. To be completely honest, I didn't see any way that Hangman Adam Page was winning this, because if you think about it, in wrestling, he's the guy associated with the guys that just got suspended.
Yeah, he is. And, I think that this tournament is probably made for Bryan Danielson here. I really think that I think he is a guy.
You talk about stuff that we've been talking about for years. We talk about tournaments and who it's built for. You say Bryan Danielson, huh?
Yeah. And I think that is a guy that you have a lot of the attention that you had with a Punk, but I think that is somebody that they are much, much more comfortable going with. And I want to see that guy with the title. I want to see him with that title, when he's in the company. I think you need him as champion. And hey, man, it may unfortunately be just to keep it warm for MJF, but Danielson run, I really want to see.
He'll be taking on Chris Jericho next week in a rematch from the pay-per-view. And then finally, the main event, Wheeler Yuta and Daniel Garcia for the ROH Pure title match. Daniel Garcia got played in by a local rapper from Buffalo. That crowd was on fire for Daniel Garcia.
Yeah, definitely the hometown kid trying to make it good last night.
Yeah, he did make it good. But before that, we had a promo from Jungle Boy. And you know what? The last line that he said was so strong. Again, it makes me think of what you've been saying for the last 2 years. He goes, Luchasaurus, I carried your career on my back this entire time. And now it says sometimes to move on from the past, you must destroy it. Does he just become Jack Perry? Does he get a haircut? Does he do something? Is he going into a new character?
I don't think he needs to become, or I don't think he needs a haircut. I think he just needs to become Jack Perry and embrace that and maybe change the gear so he doesn't look Jungle Boy-esque. But, Jack Perry, I think that's all you need. And his promo skills, this has been 180-degree shift from what we had seen thus far with Jungle Boy on the
ramped up. He's ramped up. Stokely Hathaway and the group up here, and All Out was the greatest moment of his career because he's a master at the ladder matches. You know what they missed? They didn't explain the connection. MJF didn't explain the connection with Stokely. Stokely didn't explain the connection with MJF. And all they did was beat up her production assistant.
I don't think you're ever going to get it, Meathead. I think that they were basically a device to set up,
You've got to connect the dots in that, though.
I don't know that we ever will because, I don't know. It'll be interesting. It'll be interesting to see. There's a lot of things that will be interesting to see if it ever gets addressed, because there is, this might be the week period or whatever where, stuff happens that doesn't really get referenced anymore.
So you're saying just like the COVID era, where they Adam Page getting called out. See, and that's the whole thing that I feel yucky about. Let me go back a little bit. And again, that's coming up more that Punk really was upset about the promo that Page cut on him in his face where he was given a chance to respond. Punk cut a promo on Page and the dude wasn't in the building.
Exactly.
Didn't give him a chance to say anything. And he just kind of buried him. And he's supposed to be a babyface at that point too. So Page, by just kind of moving on and not saying anything, looks like kind of a bitch. But I don't think the man's a bitch, right? I think the character is. He looks kind of like a Punk bitch. Now, Page losing to Danielson, what does that do for him? Now he's nowhere, right?
Yeah.
So Punk,
I will say that was
and it'll never get explained.
shortcoming last night. We got a Mike and Moxley. We had John Moxley speaking on a mic is what I meant to say.
Right.
We had Jericho. I wanted to hear Hangman on the mic, and I know they didn't want to go directly there, and I know that they're not leaning into it. But
Tony probably said no.
Yeah. I wanted to. I wanted him to be one of the guys. And again, you don't have to reference it, but more of that, locker room talk there. It's what I wish we'd have seen.
No, because all that does is put gasoline on the fire.
Yeah.
Unfortunately, Matthew, they have to stop it right there.
Yeah.
So there'll be no more. It's like Vince McMahon, and I don't need to say the name that shouldn't be said, but when he showed up on ECW the next night and said, we'll never speak of that man's name again, I don't think we're going to speak of the incident again, and we're going to move on. Now, hopefully they can find a way to do business with each other, all of them. Give me a match. I mean, we don't need to. I mean, hell, I know that he was moved over to Ring of Honor, but give me Boom Boom in here as well, right? Let's get a match. Now, finally, speaking of Ring of Honor, Wheeler Yuta, Daniel Garcia for the Ring of Honor Pure Title match. You got the Ring of Honor ring announcer. You got the Ring of Honor, announcers. He's played in by a local rapper. The winner and new ROH Pure Wrestling Champion, Daniel Garcia. Did not realize it, or maybe I'd forgotten about it. There was an announcement that I think it was a closed fist. One more closed fist, and you will forfeit the match because it's a pure wrestling match.
Yeah, no, interesting. And I mean, I've seen a handful of these, and I kind of have to relearn the rules a little bit, but I feel like it makes you watch closer, and there's more strategy at play here.
Yeah. After the match, Bryan Danielson made his way down to the ring and got shoved by Yuta, who then shakes hands with Garcia. Then Danielson snatches the title away to put it on Garcia. So I think the order of things got messed up. That's why Yuta pushes Daniel away and then shook his hand. So code of honor. And then he took the belt, goes, no, I'll place it on you. And then all just happiness all around. Jericho said that he had to do the match by himself. He did it by himself, and he won the title by himself. Jericho comes out after he's lovey-dovey with the Blackpool Combat Club and goes, what are you doing? What are you doing? As they go off the air.
Yeah, I think this was the right way to close the show. You needed those feel-good moments last night, and I think AEW tried their best to deliver.
That was a little gorillas there, little feel-good ink. All right, Matthew, that is the news for Thursday, September 8th, 2022. For Linda K, for the man they call Meathead, I almost called you Daniel Bryan, but Bryan Danielson. No, it's Matthew Thomas. Thanks for stopping by. We'll talk to you tomorrow morning. So long, everyone.